The Chaska Human Rights Commission meeting of Thursday, January 26, 2023. Elise, would you please do the roll call for us?
Commissioner Hubbard?
Here.
Commissioner Welbert?
Here.
Commissioner Haga?
Here.
Commissioner White?
Here.
Commissioner Sandison?
Here.
Commissioner Zayek?
Here.
Chair Carlson?
Here. Thank you, Elise. The agenda has been mailed out to everyone. Is there any additions, changes? If not, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Motion made by Kaylee. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jennifer. If there's no question, all in favor of adopting the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. We do not have a guest presentation tonight, so we'll just jump into the business of the Human Rights Commission tonight. And so we have the minutes of December 29th. Did you all have a chance to take a look at that? And because there'll be a test on it.
Really?
No smiles, okay, just one smile. Thank you, Sienna, for smiling. Are there any changes, corrections to the minutes of December 29th? Having heard none, may I have a motion to adopt the 29th of December minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Hannah. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Martin. All of those in favor of approving the minutes from December 29th, 2022 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. The Treasurer's Report. Elise, do you have a?
Sure. So if you look on page 7 of your packet is where we're at as of January. And this was actually put together last week. And so the table class, we do have an amount of that, and it's just over $36. And so that brings us down to $5,461.84, which is our balance. What is pending right now, and I just have it as a placeholder because we're still working on the awards for Latino Voices. We're working on getting together because we've had to go to a new vendor this year, so it's taking a little longer. So when we have that amount, we'll plug that in the appropriate month. But I wanted to make sure you all were aware that that is an expense we will be incurring.
Great. Any questions for Elise?
I have a question, not about what's here, but since we got a new logo, will we be doing new name tags and new t-shirts?
Yes, so we'll look at doing that once the new commissioners are named, and so then we can order new name tags and new shirts for everyone.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, may I have a motion to approve the Treasurer's Report?
So moved.
Motion made by Jen, seconded by
Second.
Martin. Having heard no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the January 2023 Treasurer's Report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes opposed? Ayes carry. Okay. We're getting to the business of what we do. So, before we call upon Jen to do a report for the Dr. King celebration, I just wanted to say to all of you who participated and being there, and of course all of us were there, and we got our picture taken to commemorate that moment. Thank you for being there. I particularly want to thank Jen and Sienna, and Stacy Nelson Kumar, our Parks and Recreation representative, Alyssa Trumbauer, and our school representatives, Ms. Merrick from the Diversity
The Equity and
Program.
Inclusion Division.
Thank you for planning this event. Thank you to Kevin Wright, to Michelle Blasco, and of course to you, Elise, for being there and helping us and putting all of the fine touches together for us. Special thanks to Chaska Cub, Dunn Brothers, the Donut Shop,
El Paisano.
Dunkin' Donuts, and Kelly Brinney, who donated the wonderful books for us for our giveaway. Integrated Arts Academy, Treks and Trails Preschool, the speech team, outstanding this year, Chaska Music Studio. I'm sure that there's somebody else that we're missing in the big scope of things, but I just wanted to say thanks to all of our viewing public, which there's hundreds out there tonight. Thanks for coming to the Dr. King celebration. It's just one event in our calendar year that offers the opportunity to be together, to learn, and hopefully be on a path that recognizes and respects everyone here in Chaska. So thank you to all. Now I'll call on you for the official report.
Well, you gave part of mine, so
Oh my
thank you.
Okay?
I will just echo everything that Sarah said. Thank you to everyone involved for this year's event. It was really well attended once again, which is so fun to just see people be able to be out and about and connect with each other. I'm really grateful for the partnerships that we've formed and the new people who have come on board, so that kind of broadens our reach for people knowing about the event, and also finding ways for other businesses and organizations to get involved with the event for the future. We did have a debrief meeting with the committee shortly after
Last Friday.
Last Friday. And so we talked a lot about, how it went, what we can do differently, what went great. So I just would really appreciate hearing if there's any comments or questions from the commissioners who were not at that meeting, so that we can add those to it. Elise has started a spreadsheet that will be invaluable in years to come. So we can look at things like this. So when we consider things, we'll say, oh, we talked about that, or yeah, we had mentioned we should try this. So if anyone has any feedback, it's appreciated. If you think of it later, email Elise. But if you have anything now, then we'd love to hear it. Okay?
I do have one.
Oh.
If the video was fantastic, it was great that we heard all those voices. It would have been great, and probably was a time constraint too, to have them subtitled for, translation in English from Spanish and Spanish to English.
We did discuss that at our debrief meeting, as well as the fact that for some people, that Spanish part was the highlight of the whole day, because that was spoken in the language that they use. And so we're talking about ways that we could even do subtitles throughout, or do something throughout, so that people who their first language is something else will be able to, interact more. And we're thinking of different ways that we're going to do that, because it's not all subtitled, for the whole program. Maybe it's something like, people, if they need translation, they let us know ahead of time so that we can make arrangements for that. But the videos is definitely something that stuck out to us, yeah.
But it was great,
thank
it
you.
was awesome.
The other person we really need to thank is our MC, Libby Fairchild, our fellow commissioner from years past. And she just really stepped up, and we're so happy that she had done that, and we're very grateful to her for doing that. Just lastly, I just want to finish up by saying that we would like to schedule our speaker by this summer so that we have that on the books. So I'm asking on everyone here to think of ideas, you know, just give it some thought and submit suggestions if you have any. And then we can look into them, reach out to them, and we can get that. That's one of the biggest stressors is finding the speaker. And so it'd be great if we could get that done well ahead of time. And finally, I'd like you to mark your calendar for Monday, January 15th, 2024 at 8 a.m. For next year's celebration. That's it.
That's great, thank you. Any questions for Jen?
Was there any, well, I'm just curious what the feedback was in your group, what kind of folks had said in the small group, positive?
A lot, a positive?
Well, whatever.
Yes, well, Sarah brought a list of things that was great, because she had heard from several people and like made a list, which was really great, because we heard things, you know, like, it's very meaningful. The speech students were a big hit, you know, they did a fantastic job. Just including different parts of the community in there. What else was on that?
The idea of winning something, the books, I think that was.
Yeah, that
just-
was a big one.
That was big. The best ever is one comment I heard. Dr. Berry, I want Dr. Berry's contact number so I can call him. I need to talk with him further. So I think that's always encouraging when you
Yeah.
hear those kinds of comments. Well received, positive, I mean, yeah, all good things. All good things.
Our feedback from the community was great. Our other parts of the meeting that we had with our committee, we talked a lot about logistics and ways to make this just smoother behind the scenes, because some parts just get a little frantic right at the last minute, you know, but I think that we have a good plan in place, and I think the feedback portion of this whole planning process has been wonderful, so.
So I know for sure that people from other towns attended. And I think, given that we are the only Human Rights Commission in the Carver County, there are no other Human Rights Commissions in any other towns, is it, could we be intentional about reaching out to other towns as well?
That's good feedback.
You know, and just be inviting of them to
Yeah.
this event, because there's nothing like this.
Yeah, and
anywhere
everyone
else.
is invited. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, anyone from anywhere
Yeah,
can
okay.
come. They're more than welcome, so.
Awesome.
But yes, there are, I mean, we could make a push to kind of just let the other cities in the
Yeah,
area
right.
know about it.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
Questions?
I was kind of waiting to see, everyone's looking this way, kind of waiting to see the spreadsheet, and see what's on, so I don't repeat it. But just in case something's not on there, I think, you think about adding some sort of lesson plan or some sort of activity for the kids, maybe. You know, we had Ethan with us, which is great. But of course, when it got to the Spanish portion, he's like, "What did they say?" And I'm trying to translate in my head. I don't know, bud. I think something for the kids, and there are a lot of them. I think if there's an activity, service project, I don't know what that is. I don't know, but other than that, I think it's great. It's wonderful.
Okay. Moving right along, Pride Celebration. Just as a point of reference, is that what's next? Yeah, Pride Celebration. When I returned the Parks and Recreation items that we borrowed, Alyssa reminded me that dates are filling for the space because we'll have to move from the city square. And so the sooner we can put that on our calendar, the better. And that might also apply to other things that we talk about tonight. Is just, with our partners, we want to probably set dates if we can. And so,
So, would you like me to?
yes, thank you, Karen.
So Elise and I had exchanged, actually, we'd had a conversation about dates, and I know that that's the last memo here, and I didn't know if we were handling the memo as a separate item, or if we were just going through and doing it, but I would say from the high school perspective, the 3rd is the end of exams, and graduation is on the 9th, so I think the 10th or the 11th would be challenging. So my recommendation would be those last 2 weeks in June, if we're still looking for June as possible dates. And maybe dependent on what's available in terms of space with the city. But it would be more challenging to get the high school kids either during exams or the day after graduation, because we know somebody's gonna come volunteer the day after graduation. Just teasing.
I'm sure she'll be there. She may not have slept the entire night before, but I'm sure Sienna will join us. Okay, so what dates did you recommend?
So I would say the last 2 weekends of June would be the ones that I would recommend. That's I think did we do it Saturdays or Sundays? I can't remember.
We did it on Sunday this
Okay.
past year.
Sunday afternoon.
So that would be the 18th to the 25th. I don't know about Father's Day and where that falls.
Father's
It's
Day
the
is
18th, so.
Maybe not the 18th then.
No, not if we're doing it on a Sunday. And I don't really know why we went with Sunday over Saturday. Maybe been availability, I don't know, but I would say not the 18th then either, because that will be challenging for folks.
Right. Well, we don't need to make that decision tonight. Well, maybe we could make that decision tonight and know that subcommittees won't be set until next month when we have new commissioners with us.
I think my thought would be that maybe Elise communicates with her counterparts to see of those dates, if any of them work, and then we can kind of,
Yeah, my suggestion, Chair, would be to maybe prioritize the dates, unless we don't really care at this point in time, and then I can talk with Park and Rec and see where we're at, and bring that back.
Where are we moving to?
it's Fireman's Park, right?
I was gonna say,
Fireman's?
it's likely to be Fireman's Park.
Okay.
Is kind of where we're putting events that have typically happened at City Square and putting them over in Fireman's Park.
Okay.
Is Sunday important over Saturday? I don't know what
I don't recall why we chose Sunday,
Can't either.
I don't
unless
think
it
there
was
a
availability of the park.
reason.
that's why.
Yeah.
A lot of weddings occur there in the summertime. Maybe that was it. I
I don't recall it being a specific
don't
intention.
either.
Well, then I think I would, well, let me just look, let me pull up the Twin Cities, because that's the other thing, I don't know when Pride activities are downtown, because that was, it was nice having it, not at the same time as other things
Right.
were going on, so let me just see if the calendar is up. June 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
So maybe the 17th?
I think that would probably be the priority.
The priority.
Yeah.
Would be June 17.
Yep.
And the Pride Parade in Minneapolis is Sunday. So,
The 25th?
I would just not want to compete
Yeah.
with that
yeah,
period, so that last weekend is kind of out. And I think, I mean, if we needed to, we could probably do the 11th, don't you? It's not right, the day right after graduation, I mean, so that would be another possibility, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking at the full kind of community event list that we have at this point in time, and there's nothing necessarily as far as a community event is concerned on any of those days, so I think it's more probably the availability at this point in time. So I will ask that the 17th is the priority. Would you like to make the 11th and the 2nd, so we're not competing, or would you rather look at the 24th?
I would say the 11th, wouldn't you guys?
Okay.
Yeah.
I would, yeah.
yeah.
Are they moving, are there other backup options besides Fireman Park, like veterans or?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we could certainly take a look at other park locations that are big enough.
Okay.
Lions Park will have a new shelter by
Yeah.
then, so that might be an option, if there's not tournaments and other things going on.
Uh-huh. All right. Thanks for doing that, Elise.
Okay, River City Days. Again, I think it's moving to Fireman's Park? No,
Lions.
Lions Park.
That's where the dog, like down at Review Road? Okay, crosstown.
Huh. Hard to call us River City when we're not near the river.
It's 1 year hiatus.
Progress, it's progress, Sarah. It'll be a much more pedestrian-friendly space.
I think there's a little creek over there.
There is.
There is a
little
creek, you're right.
Maybe we'll have heavy rain before that and it'll actually be running. So that is the last weekend in July, as always, not unless they've changed that.
No, it's the 28th through the 30th.
Right.
Definitely gonna need mosquito spray at that location.
Absolutely. Whew.
I'll make a note, we'll budget for that.
Cultural Heritage Month. Juana?
So no updates as of yet. We haven't really met since last meeting. Yeah, since last meeting. So, but the thing is, this ties in really nicely with a non-HRC event, the Latin Food and Music Festival, which is also in the same month. So the idea is to plan, in my idea world, and I have not talked with the subcommittee extensively, but it would be like the whole month of September, like weekends, to celebrate something. So we'll provide more details and the dates for that, but for sure, the September 22nd is
Part of it.
it becomes part of that cultural heritage month celebration. So, yeah,
Having a booth or co-sponsoring or something, just, yeah, that being one of the events.
exactly. Yeah.
We can celebrate Latino voices.
So we'll provide more details after the meeting.
Community partnerships. Communities of belonging, creating a better story, or anything else you want to add, Juana, to that?
It was super exciting. Like, I mean, you were there, and there were a total of, Pat sent out an email, and probably you saw it, but it was a total of 46 registered folks out of the 60 slots available, and 40 people attended, and 6 of them actually logged in from out of state, like Taylor from Nevada. So, because they were not in town, but they are Chaska residents, obviously. So it was a lively conversation. It was, people were engaged. And I'm really looking forward for our next meeting in February 7th, I believe it is. So, yeah, people, and encourage folks to register, even if they did not attend the first training. It's not mandatory to attend all 3 of them. So next one is going to be on culture.
7?
On the 7th, yeah.
Understanding ourselves and others is
Right.
the title of it.
There you go. So, yeah, so then, you know, it's good. It's going to be a good exploration. It's not easy. They're not easy conversations, but it's great.
But they have you're in small groups.
Yeah.
We did like Zoom rooms, so we had 4 people in a group. So it does make the conversation easy enough. It's not intimidating.
No, not at all.
And the other thing I was gonna say is, it was great to see a bunch of familiar faces there, but it was really exciting to see a lot of faces I haven't seen at events before.
Yeah.
So, you know, invite people who haven't tried out doing something like this before
Yeah.
too, because I just thought that was great to see.
Yeah. So, and thank you for allowing us to announce it during the MLK breakfast, because that really had quite an impact, because many people registered, like 20 people registered right after that, so it was pretty good. Yeah.
Great. 112 Native American Parent Advisory Group.
Has not met. So my recommendation may be, I know we've talked about, with City Square being kind of shut down, when that reopens, having something, working with the city to have something around the burial mounds. And I think as we get new members on, maybe that's something that a small group can work on, knowing that we have more time for that, because we don't want to put anything in place until that happens.
Is there like an estimated, obviously you never know, but completion time? So like this year?
Well, the plan would be this year.
Okay.
I guess the unknown is the State Historic Preservation Office, and the historic nature of everything. So I know they're working through that right now, which could just, who knows what may happen. Ideally, it would be next year, or, excuse me, this year. I don't even know what year we're in anymore. Ideally, it would be end of 2023.
So is that specific to the mounds, or is that?
It's
Is
in
the gazebo considered-
it's in the historic district.
Got it, okay.
And that's why.
All right,
I see.
okay. I was like, that gazebo cannot be a historic landmark.
And it's falling apart, and it's not in great shape, so it's navigating the State Historic Preservation Office.
Got it.
Okay, Carver County Mental Health.
So Ellie was going to take the proposal to that group towards the end of December. I have not had a chance to catch up with her on that, but I will follow up and get an update for us by next meeting.
Excellent. Empathetic Response.
I think
We
nobody's
lost-
on that committee.
We don't have anyone on that committee at the present time.
No, but I think we, in the plan for the year, right, wasn't the proposal to change the empathetic response to a communication?
Yes, I think so,
Right?
moving forward.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
switch it to, yeah, okay.
Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
I will make the changes on the agenda moving forward.
Website.
The pictures, we need to have more pictures taken.
I think we've got pictures now. I don't know, well, headshots we don't. We need to get, well, we have new members. We should wait until
Oh,
we
you're
have.
waiting for the new member, okay, that makes sense, that makes sense.
I was gonna say, all the
Brilliant idea, Elise. Wait for the new
Yes.
members.
Totally.
All the pictures from Dr. King's celebration have been forwarded
Yep.
to Elise and to Kevin Wright. So if there's a need for pictures in the future, they have them, which is good. And if you have any pictures on your phones that you took that think should be in our archives, by all means, send them over to Elise and Kevin, or just Elise. Who do you want?
You can send them to me.
Okay.
We have a shared folder.
Not sort of related. How many new members are we getting?
So they haven't made official appointments
Right.
yet. That'll be February 6th. We can, there are 2 members who have reapplied. So Jen and Sienna have reapplied. And we have room for 3 more.
Okay.
And
So 1 regular and 2 alternates.
yes. And so there were a lot of folks who want to be a part of this commission, and they
That's
are
awesome.
outstanding.
Wonderful, that's wonderful.
And will, I think, meld nicely with this group, so I'm excited.
It's my roundabout way of just trying to figure out.
So in the February meeting, you should have a full commission.
Got it.
And you can make, we'll talk about committees and who wants to be on what committees and make those assignments then.
Perfect.
So one of the things that we talked about when we developed a kind of a strategic plan, and that was in our minutes in December, was a women's recognition event. And now that it's 2023, and we talked a little bit about that being in the springtime, it's kind of my idea that we maybe do a small discussion tonight about what those ideas were, understanding that we'll have somebody else or 2 or 3 other people joining us, and we can ask them if they're interested in planning that event. So, what were our thoughts about a women's celebration?
We're talking about women's history, right? Or is this like
March.
the ladies of Chaska?
The Real Housewives.
I mean, a women's recognition event could be many things, so I
It
wasn't sure if we
certainly
were
could. Yes.
like broadly connected to the month, or if this was like notable women in Chaska, or the 50 under 50.
It was Martin's idea.
It was, but with all of you here, I thought maybe. I think, I wanted to see women celebrated within that month.
Sure.
But what is it, 2 months away? So you can't really do a whole lot, but if we did push it back towards April and then maybe in the future, brought it back towards March. But, I don't know. I would like to see the whole month celebrated. It doesn't have to be one event, but maybe we use our website to put stuff up, or Facebook, or something to go. My wife does I can't think of it now, but it's called More Than Peak, so she participates in that. And at least her portion, she talks about one's personal image, right? I'm not saying that that's what it has to be, but something that celebrates and gets information out there. It could be history, it could be today's whatever. I don't know, but something is anything better than
Well, March
nothing at
8th
all.
is International Women's Day, right? March 8th, International Women's Day? Yes. So that's why March is like granted that, if I remember correctly, is kind of the history behind it is a little bit different. But I know that we celebrated it back in the day in the communist Romania. But it's Mother's Day. It's like the Romanian Mother's Day for us, for example. So that's March 8th. But it is International Women's Day. Now, I do believe that this is a possibility if we partner up with, and here now, I'm so excited about this. So I got invited to attend the Equity Advisory Council. They met last week and is actually chaired by Erica, who's the director of the Equity and Inclusion Department. And she presented the whole plan for the department. It was really great, and there were quite a few parents there as well. It was wonderful. So yes, so it's the school district's Equity and Inclusion Department, and I asked, just so that I could bring it up to you folks, if they are interested in partnering with us in organizing a Women's Heritage Month event or celebration event. So to do a dual, like Human Rights Commission partner with the Equity and Inclusion Department at the school district to do a joint event for March. Because that way, it's actually feasible. It's maybe they have ideas as well, and maybe we could do something together. So, do I like put a I don't know if this works, but it's just food for thought, maybe.
I think it's a good idea. I'd hate to see, look at me talking, I'm running my mouth. I don't know how much I can help. I'd hate to see us miss it.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it, and okay, then let's wait another year and talk about it. But I also know it takes work, and it's like, this is end of January, so it's just February to, is it, we have 29 days this year, or 28, I don't know which, 28, to do something. And I think partnering with them, I think also gives us a bigger
Reach.
area to reach, yes.
Yeah, right.
I think that's, it's,
And there's some other organization, sorry, I'm cutting you off. Did I
No.
interrupt? Oh,
I was just gonna say, I think, just, I work with a lot of young people, right? And having my son, Ethan, and they really need to see people who look like them and how successful they are. Does that make sense?
yeah.
And I think anything we can do is better than nothing. And so if we can partner with them.
And I don't want to, so I don't know, did they agree to partner with us, or was it just a discussion point?
No, Erica was excited about a partnership.
I think maybe some further discussions, just I don't want to commit the equity department without having
No,
Erica.
not at all, no, but it's just, I said that I would bring it up
Sure.
to the commission to ask you folks if you're okay to do that partnership, because they seemed excited to be working with us. And, yeah. The other thought that I have, I know two organizations. One is called Women Venture, and they do a really amazing job around women becoming small business owners or business owners. They do a lot of trainings. They provide classes for women who are new in getting into businesses, but then also who are looking to expand. And their mission and vision is just so socially just as informative. It's just a wonderful organization. So that's Women's Venture. And then the other organization is called Team Empower Women. And I connected with them over the summer for one of their events. And I know someone who's on their board of directors. And it would be also an idea to involve them. So these are not organizations from Chaska. Okay, so they're not in Chaska, but they could be, maybe reach out to, just to run some ideas, have some ideas.
I also think that we have women leaders here in
Yeah.
Chaska that we could ask. One of them is sitting way down here to my right.
You did not look enthusiastic about that recognition. Well, to that point, and to what Martin was saying, because I do think that the seeing yourself reflected in it is super important. And I was thinking about like some Black businesswomen that I know that live in the community, and some other folks where we could do some profiles on, and maybe have like a panel for youth or whatever around sort of what it means to operate, and I don't know, I'm just making things up. But my point being that I like the idea of we have lots of interesting people in this community doing lots of interesting things, and certainly there's historical figures within Chaska. I think there's one woman on the wall. One, woo! But, sorry, Martin. The city council is much more balanced now, but like I do think that like a combination of folks from the past and folks who are working in the community, who are representative of the community, might be really cool. And I think we could, from a social networking standpoint,
Yeah.
pull those people together without a ton of work.
Right.
Did you know that the superintendent's council for the district is made up of all women?
Or the cabinet.
The
yeah.
cabinet, there you go. Not the council, yeah, the cabinet.
Yeah.
It's all women. It's probably one of the very few in the country, maybe? I mean, it's so unique, right? That's super cool.
You think that.
Well-
I'm glad you do. I also think it's super cool.
Go girls. Yeah.
I wonder for, I don't want to like rain on parades, but I wonder if it's like a good idea to do something like smaller
Yeah.
and manageable that we can do well and within like 2 months, not
Yeah,
even.
less than that.
Yeah, and then thinking about like partnerships and broadening it for next year, just to kind of introduce it, and because I would hate to like put a lot of work into something and then have an event and then
Nobody
nobody's
shows up,
there.
yeah.
Or that it's just not what we want it to be or envisioned it being. So I like the idea of the profiles. I don't know.
I
if
feel
we're
like
doing
that
it.
could be like, we have like a 3-question thing and we ask people to submit a headshot, or we go out to people and
Yeah.
Kevin could help us pull it together. Like, that could be actually a fairly easy slideshow type thing. That's where I was like, oh, we can have 3 questions and then we can have their little bio and a picture. You know, like the lady that runs the Romanian bakery out of her kitchen.
But, so I'm doing something similar for the Heritage Organization, but we're doing like a membership drive and we're doing video. So we recorded multiple folks and we're going to do like 10 days, so 10 people in 10 days, 1 video per day on Facebook. So can you remind me, we don't have a Facebook presence through Human Rights. The Human Rights Commission does not have a Facebook page.
No, it's through the city.
And Kevin's
Okay.
always looking for content.
So, would it be possible to actually record women in the community, do these profiles, these interviews with women, and then do the exact same thing, to where for the whole month, it could be like 3 to 4 interviews. I mean, that's a lot of interviews per week, but, I mean, it's a lot of work for Kevin, that's what I'm trying to say. But if we can do that, and that way celebrate womanity. Yeah? Instead of a one event.
We could also, if we can, depending on Kevin's availability, we could also just do, like, post it on Facebook, but it could be like a picture and a little, some words or whatever, if we don't have capacity for videos.
And if you need help with the recording, I have volunteers, kids. They're great. They can do video recording.
Video's a lot of work.
I think that timeline feels really tight to do the videos this year. I think we could look at it for next year. I would feel more comfortable with that, but I think that the pictures and the written, you know, like you read in a magazine where they ask someone 3 questions, they just have their short answers. That can be posted on Facebook too, and I don't know, I'm just apprehensive about any time I could commit to getting this done, like a big project done by March.
Yeah.
Well, and I think like somebody could reach out to the Historical Society too and get some women in Chaska. So they could be interspersed with sort of the history of women doing cool things in Chaska and the current crop of people. And I mean, I could take that piece on. I would be happy to talk to.
Could we, I'm just throwing this out there, everyone knows a person, right? Could we ask that person to make a video? They're with their cell phone, maybe we come up with 3 questions, maybe we don't, but what got you where, or whatever they want to say, whatever encouraging words. Make the video, we send it, put it up on Facebook. If we get 30, great. If we get 1, great. And it's not a whole lot of stress. Does it take 5 minutes? I know one person who just loves making videos, right? And I'm not talking about Kevin, I'm talking about my wife. But and that's just my 2 cents, because I feel everyone, you know, it's like you can't do anything in a month, and, you know, if it doesn't pan out, then you get frustrated and you don't want to do it again.
And I have direct instructions on how to do that, how to set up your phone, like seriously, and how to upload on Google Drive.
As somebody who's tried to do those projects before in the past, it's really hard
Okay.
to get people to do it. Like, they don't like to see themselves on video. They don't like it. They're just, I think, in a short time period. Like, I like the idea of, again, as we continue to grow things, having more of a multimedia presence. But I don't know that, because I have frequently thought the same thing. Like, oh, this will be super easy, and then like.
Do it.
Then you're 2 days before the Martin Luther King breakfast, like begging everybody you know to do a video for you.
The Downtown Alliance, they publish a magazine, maybe it's not the Downtown Alliance, but there is a magazine called Neighbors. I don't know if any of you get that.
Oh, Neighbors of Chaska?
Yeah.
Neighbors of
yeah.
Chaska. I'm wondering if we might if that wouldn't be a possibility to ask them to think about doing a short article about women in Chaska.
I can almost guarantee you they've already gone to print for the, because
For
it's like a
March?
quarterly publication, I think.
I don't know.
Because they've done some profiles of school district employees before, and I feel like the lead time has been pretty significant.
Okay,
But I love the idea of keeping that in the roster of outlets to figure out, and we could certainly ask. I think
I can ask Kevin tomorrow.
Yeah.
He helps with some of the content that's given by the city to that, so I can ask him.
the other thought is that, you know, the Southwest Chamber of Commerce tells us that they want to be a partner with us.
Nice.
So this might be an opportunity for us to tap them to see if this might be of interest to them. I'm certainly willing to make a phone call to Darren and see what his, just kind of touch base and see what he thinks of the idea and if that's a possibility. We haven't been able to match our programming with the chamber these past couple of years. Well, and certainly we don't want to forget too quickly COVID, but I keep thinking that as we proactively partner in our community, that is an organization that we might want to have on our table, or at our table, I should say. So I'm willing to do that, just to kind of get his pulse on that. The other thought as I'm sitting here is thinking is about Audra. I believe that is her first name. She is the reporter that, for the Chaska Herald. We might want to reach out to her and say, is this something that could be a feature for the Herald? And include business leaders, civic leaders, people like the woman down here at the end of the room, as administrators of facilities, businesses. I'm just talking out loud, but I'm just wondering if that might be an option too.
Something like that, like if you could do something like what we talked about, the profiles where they answer 3 questions, we could pick a handful of women each week in March. And maybe that could be the feature throughout March if they have the space or desire to include that. Because it made me think of like during election season when you see the profiles like that, you know, and I always read through those and I find them pretty informative, you know, so I think that that would be a good way of reaching quite a few people too. Not everyone's on Facebook. A lot of people page through that Herald.
What do you think? Does that sound intriguing or not? Considering that we'll have another new commissioner here and possibly 2 alternates, we could ask them to do this work, but some of us have a little bit, perhaps more content or contacts in the community to bring a program like this to fruition in March. Or do we just want to table the women's event?
Do we have a subcommittee on this, like, or not?
No, not unless you want to volunteer your time now.
She's like,
Just, I think the next step is probably just figuring out what those questions are, so then
Okay.
folks can kind of disperse and.
Okay, so then maybe what we need to do is ask each of you to think about 3 questions. No? Do you have time to think about it?
so this is gonna have to happen before the next meeting.
Yes.
So, I am happy to be on a subcommittee Martin is happy to be in a subcommittee with me. Since it was his idea.
I was actually going to say that. I will tackle it. I don't want to see it fall by the wayside.
Right, and so I think I think we can sit down with Kevin and come up with a game plan pretty quickly. And then it's just a matter of getting the word out and getting people, that we know, to spread the word amongst their networks.
You know, I'm going to throw this out there because each one of you, I'm not just pointing to her, I'm starting over here because she's on this side, but each one of you, all of you, have a story. And there's nothing wrong with your story. It's a great story, and everybody needs to hear that. Right? You start right here at this table, I mean,
Oh, yeah, no, I mean,
you
I
have a
think,
story. You have a story.
Yeah.
You.
she's gonna
And
be
you.
president. She's gonna be president.
Oh, what-
Nobel Prize winning president.
So why can't we start with you?
Oh, I think absolutely we can, I would expect that folks here would be part of that. But I don't want it just to be the Human Rights
Because
Commission.
that way, it's more
But it's-
visibility for the commission too.
It's a start. And then we can add on to it next year. We can add another person on, but at least we have, how many, was it
It's
7?
also achievable.
Count that
It's
right?
not so
I-
daunting
I
to.
think it's got,
In the is she in the back room? She's back there as well.
I think we want a little bit broader reach than just the folks on the commission. And I'm happy to push it out and
You
specifically.
can push it out, but I'm saying, you know, what gets you excited? We always hear about, I gotta strive to be vice president or president of the United States. I gotta be an astronaut. Sometimes you just need to be the business owner. Sometimes you just need to be the person who cooks bakery
Oh,
or
100%.
pastries. And I'm throwing that out there, you know, or the person who sits on every commission known to mankind. You know, all those
Chairs every commission known to mankind.
in my, you know, that, if I was able to see something like that when I was younger, or even as an adult, to kind of open my mind, I mean, every little bit helps and every little bit celebrates. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But that's just my 2 cents. I'm just,
I think one thing I'd like to hear is what you're proud of about yourself or your life, or like, just like having women say, this is what I'm proud of, and I think there's a lot of different answers we'll get from that, and different people will resonate with those things.
And it could be a very simple question, like, what makes you you, right?
That's not a simple question.
I know, but like, you
Remember
know.
when you wrote the 90-paragraph bio for the?
But to your point, I would expect everybody here to participate. But I'm thinking like Gracia would be a great one. You know, having folks from different parts of the community would be really, and I think to your
Kelly
point,
would be a
Martin,
great
we go with what we've got and we don't not do it because we only have 10 or whatever.
Yeah, there's 31 days in March and way more than 31 amazing women in Chaska, so we should be able to get quite a few responses, especially if we keep it simple.
Yeah.
even if you get more than 31, 32, 40, just keep taking it out, keep going
So
until
do
it's.
we
Use them next
each
year.
reach out to our circles, or
I think
how do we want to do this?
I will try to get something
Okay.
scheduled with Kevin and Martin and myself pretty quickly. And I
Okay.
think then once we get that template together, it's a matter of circulating it.
Yeah, sending it to folks. Yeah.
Because you can make, like in Canva or whatever, like a graphic that you can just slide a picture and responses in. And
Yep.
it's very cut and paste, easy,
Yep.
so that we're not putting a whole lot of labor on
Right.
the one-man communication department.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Slightly off tangent, but not off tangent. I wanted to share that I heard from somebody who came to our Dr. King celebration and asked me what I thought. And I shared some ideas about what I had from listening to Dr. Berry. And she said, Sarah, has anybody younger from high school or maybe junior high asked people in the community, what do you remember about the 60s and the 70s? What? So that we don't get to the point of asking people who are close to their end of their life at 90 what it was like to fight in World War II. That was the example she used. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting that somebody would be interested in hearing what folks in Chaska, their neighbors, thought about 1967, as an example. And so when we're talking about listening to what women might say about this is what I am most proud of, that voice kind of resonates with me saying, gosh, maybe there are people, younger people, I'm just emphasizing it, younger people really do want to hear that, really do want to know.
You know, it's funny, we actually, the district partnered with Carver County Veteran Services to do an event where we brought in veterans from various wars. There aren't a whole lot of folks from World War II left anymore.
No.
And the 7th graders interviewed them and did a project around, they did trading cards about their veteran. And it was, like, if you had told me, because I worked with Dan Tangwall at the county and Rachel Scherer, who did a lot of the background stuff to get it started. And, you know, I was like, a bunch of 7th graders, we were at the community center, a bunch of 7th graders are not gonna, middle schoolers not necessarily the most attentive or respectful at times. And those kids were like, you could have heard a pin drop. Like, they had so many questions, they were so attentive. So I think there's something to that, and maybe there are other opportunities to bring generations together.
Yeah.
You know, and it was nice because there was a curricular component to that too. They actually worked it into the 7th grade social studies. But I think to your point, yes, I think there's something to be said there about capturing the voices of young people listening to and learning from those that came before. Also,
Yeah.
middle-aged people listening to and learning from the voices that came before.
Okay. Anything else about Women's Day? Women's recognition event, not necessarily a day, but opportunities for us to feature women in the month of March.
Good question.
Good idea.
Or I've got an idea, something to think about. What do you think about a mentorship program that that covers, I don't know, maybe a specific age group, but both male and female? Just something that goes throughout the year.
About what specifically?
Business or, I guess we could say business. I don't know, mentorship just came to mind.
Yeah. Because Rotary does strive, where they go in and like mentor high school students. But I think that's more focused on business
Right.
and getting ready for the next steps.
Right, it's
I
not
think
out
I actually think that's a huge void in a lot of spaces, but I don't.
I think that sounds like a good idea to have a subcommittee explore it when we start committees. I mean, because I really like that idea, but I think that it needs to really be looked at and figured out how we would even approach something like that, you know?
You know what? Maria Ochoa from the high school, she actually was looking at partnering with the Human Rights Commission for a mentorship program for her students. So I think if you're, but it's more in terms of equity and inclusion, social justice, so what the type of work that Human Rights Commission does, more than business, so it doesn't have to, it has nothing to do with business mentoring. It's mindset and walking the walk and talking the talk, kind of like that. So have folks from the Human Rights Commission actually be mentoring kids. I can connect with her to see what she had in mind.
Well, I'm hearing it's a good idea. That's good. I think we should form, when everyone gets on that subgroup, and then kind of figure out where it goes from there.
Yeah.
Does that work? everybody? Or not, or whatever. It just came to me, I wrote it down, and I figured I better say it before I walk away and kind of,
I think it's a great idea.
I'm done. I don't want to hold you up anymore.
No.
I'm not talking to you. I'm looking this way, but I'm not looking at you. I'm over here.
She would just hang out all night and talk about this stuff.
No. So, any other business we have or that needs to come before us tonight?
We'll stop, Hannah.
I was gonna say,
Contagious.
let's not all yawn at the same time. Okay, so our next meeting is February 23rd. In the meantime, we've got some Creating a Better Story opportunities during the month through Carver County Health Department, presented by the YMCA United Health Group's Equity Innovation Center of Excellence. Again, thanks to all the folks that participated at Dr. King's celebration. And I can't wait to see who joins us in February. So, any other business? Then may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there any discussion about that, or can we all say aye?
I second.
I say, Hannah seconds it. And now, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes carried. Good night, everyone.